Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pull Out Your PPs here on LoneSpeed. Happy opening day at Santa Anita. We're going to focus on the late pick 5 at Santa Anita, which starts with race number 6, the La Brea, grade 1, 7 furlongs, fillies, 3 years old. There are a couple of East Coast shippers here on the first page of your past performances. Happy Like a Fool and Kelly's Humor. Both of them are logical. Both of them will attract support in the wagering. I'm not going to use either of them. For one, I'm just not a big believer in the abilities of East Coast speed when it travels west, and that's what we have here. Really, two completely different worlds as far as I'm concerned. Kelly's Humor, the other issue with her, I've used her a bunch of times, usually at double-digit odds, and she always disappoints me. She never quite gets there. Really good at winning gallop outs, but in horse racing, especially in pick fives, they don't pay you on the gallop out. So we're going to pass on Happy Like a Fool and Kelly's Humor, even though neither one of them would be a shock. We're going to start with Emboldened and Dream Tree, the two for Baffert. Obviously, Dream Tree is obvious. She'll be a single on many people's tickets, I think. But Emboldened, I like her chances a lot. The thing about Dream Tree that has me a little bit iffy is, she was pointed to the Breeders' Cup. She was there. They pulled her out at the last minute. You don't know if she's 100%. I mean, she probably is, but there's no guarantee that she is. And at 8 to 5, she's going to be a little bit overbet, even though she's definitely the most likely winner. I like Emboldened for that reason. You always have to respect the other Baffert. I mean, he's notorious for winning with his second choice. So I'm going to use both of them, and I'm also going to use Hot Autumn, a bit of a step up in class, coming from the allowance ranks directly to grade 1. But she's 2 for 2 at the distance, coming off a 7-length win in October here at Santa Anita. She's also got 2 wins from 5 starts and 4 board finishes from the 5 starts at Santa Anita. So I'm going to use those 3, the 2 Bafferts and Hot Autumn, as we move into leg 2, the Mathis Brothers Mile. Sejo or Sejo, not sure how you pronounce the name. I'm not sure that a mile is going to be his best game. Any European that has won stakes races, you have to respect when they come over to America, especially when they get first Lasix. But the races for this one have been at no shorter than a mile and an eighth. The last 2 wins were mile and 3/16, mile and 5/16. So a mile on the grass, totally different ball game. And I'm not terribly confident that this is going to be his most effective distance. That said, I just feel too stupid if I didn't use him and he came over and he beat the Americans, because we see it happen so often. So I'm going to use Sejo reluctantly. I'm not using Jidu or Gidu. It just seems like since the trip to Ascot, he's been off his game, so we'll pass on him. River Boyne is obvious, 8 to 5, clearly the most likely winner. I'm definitely going to use him. Combatant. It seems like this year there have been a lot of these Asmussen Winchell horses with solid dirt form that they've tried to turn into turf horses. And I don't know what that's all about, but it feels like Combatant is another one of those. Yeah, he's run okay on turf before, but I'm not going to be using him in this spot. Desert Stone has just had too many chances to beat River Boyne and hasn't been able to get it done. Maybe today will be the day, I don't know, but I'm going to pass on that one too. The one that I like as a sneaky horse is Shiver Me Timbers. First turf for Jerry Hondorfer. Mike Smith stays on board. Comes off the dirt win. In fact, comes off 2 really good allowance efforts on the dirt. First dirt workout, at least that I can see, November 25th. It was a bullet work going 5 furlongs at Del Mar. All dirt work since then. I'm wondering if they happen to know that Shiver Me Timbers is really going to take to the turf. And if he does, I think he's sneaky. So those are the 3 we're going to use. Sejo, River Boyne, and Shiver Me Timbers. So we're 3 by 3 at this point in the pick 5 as we go into the third leg, the San Antonio. I don't have anything clever here. I think Battle of Midway and Dabster are by far the 2 most likely. Not going to surprise anyone if they run 1-2. So you could easily go 2 deep in here, but I'm going to go 3 deep again, not with Gift Box. Is Sadler really going to move this one up that much over what Chad Brown was able to do? I mean, this one took 6 tries to get through that second allowance condition. Now comes out to the West Coast. I mean, wouldn't be a shock, but I like Airstrike better as a third choice in the pick 5. Phil D'Amato, Florent Giroux. really seems to be a different racehorse since leaving the Asmussen barn. That's kind of a rare thing, I think, but ran decently in the Zia Park Derby. I think this one's a little interesting, and I think this one figures to get the trip. So I'm going to use Airstrike as my third choice in addition to Dabster and Battle of Midway. So now we're 3x3x3 going into the fourth leg, the Malibu, and this is where I'm probably going to take some heat for this pick. This is not my on top pick, of course, but I think number 2, Majestic Dunhill, is really interesting. I know I just said I'm biased against East Coast speed when it comes out west, and I don't think Majestic Dunhill is among the 4 or 5 most likely winners of this race. But notice the last start, the City of Laurel at Laurel, going 7 furlongs, was the first start ever on dirt. Yes, he closed into a torrid pace, but we might get a lot of early pace in this one. And if that happens, who knows? This guy could be an up and comer. Might be a star in the making in the sprint division. Yet, the buyer's not anything to get excited about. But I don't know. I'm going to use this one because there's a horse in here that I thought about singling. And if you read my column on Horse Racing Nation today, you know who I'm talking about. And there are a number of directions you can go here. And this is just such a wide open race. But I like Kantaka in here. He broke his maiden a year ago to the day, the opening day of the Santa Anita meet last year. Came back and won the San Vicente. The race that really won me over was the Maiden Breaker, where he was completely stopped in traffic with 3/8 of a mile to go. And if you've watched that replay, you know what I'm talking about. And he didn't just steady. He was stopped and completely left for dead. Found room on the outside, re-rallied and won, and then caught that really fast pace in the San Vicente and won that at 11-1. I was on him that day. Then they tried the 2 route races, tried to get him into the Kentucky Derby. That didn't work because it's not his game. He's a 7 furlong specialist, 3 for 3 at the distance. He's won 3 out of 4 at Santa Anita. He's had the long layout, but he's been working really well for Jerry Hollendorfer. I love Kantaka in here. And I'm going to also use McKenzie, even though I'm just not that hot on him, because I just feel too stupid, again, if I didn't use him. I don't want to go 8 deep in here, and believe me, I'd have no trouble going 8 deep in this race. I mean, I think this race is that wide open, but I'm going to go 3 deep with the long shot, the number 2. I'm going to use McKenzie and my top pick, Kantaka. If I had to single in here, which I really wouldn't want to do, it would be Kantaka. He's my top play. So now we're 3 deep in all 4 of the first 4 legs, and then we come into the last race, race 10, non-winners of 1 on the turf. I'm going to wait and see who scratches out of here. There are 2 that I'm definitely using if they stay in, and I'll wait and see what the field looks like after scratches to decide if I want to go more than 2 deep in here. But the 2 that I'm going to use are the 5 Trojan Spirit, who closed into slowish fractions last time when he couldn't get to Acker, who's going to be favored in here. Drayden Van Dyke, Patty Gallagher. I really like Trojan Spirit. And my second choice is Lucky Soul for Mike McCarthy and John Velasquez. I think the mile and the 8th distance is more his game. Broke the maiden for a tag, then tried some longer distances, which maybe aren't his thing. If you look at the replays, I really like that win, the Maiden Breaker, even though it was against kind of lesser competition. But I think he's interesting at 15-1. It makes an interesting second choice for me. And if we go 3 deep in here, I'll wait and decide after I see the scratches who that's going to be. I mean, if one of my top 2 gets scratched out of there, I could be persuaded to go with Acker, maybe. But I might dig into this race a little bit. So check Twitter to see what I end up going with in leg 5 of the pick 5 at Santa Anita on the opening day. Good luck, everybody. It should be a great day of racing. Hope you cash some nice tickets. And we'll see you next time on Pull Out Your PPs. And click.